Hello, today I'm going to show you how to make this little babushka keyring. It's a very simple little project, really sweet and cute. Just uses a few scraps of your patchwork fabrics, a little novelty button and some felt. First thing you'll need to do is to download the templates. It's full pattern instructions from my site, which is lisapay.com. And it will have all of your materials and requirements there, and also your cutting out, laying out instructions and your fusible webbing requirements there as well. So I'll get you to do that and then we'll pop back and we'll get started. So now you should have all your little pattern pieces cut out. You should have a little keyring front with interfacing on the back. We've got our little floral piece which has fusible web, and we're going to do our layout here. And I've already peeled off the backing paper of that fusible web. So this is our layout. First goes on our little printed fabric for the main body. Then we've got our little hood. Again, paper's peeled off, fusible web on the back. That one will lay over the front. And then we have just our little bow pieces on the neck, which we're going to pop on there. Now get them all into the right position. You can do it one piece at a time when you press and fuse these on. I usually do them one piece at a time, but you can set it all up and do it all together. So use a very hot iron and a protective cotton cloth to protect those felts, and I'll get you to press those all on together, and then we'll come and get started with our sewing. Our next step is to do our stitching on the front of our little babushka. Now I'm going to start today because it's such a small project and pieces are quite fine. I'm going to use a top stitching thread. You could use an upholstery thread. It's just a little bit finer and easier to manage. We need to blanket applique a few areas. We need to do the circle around the face, which is this circle here. We need to do our little bows, and we need to do our lower edge of our little scarf there. So I'm going to show you, starting here on the little face section. We come in from behind and not in our thread. We come in right on the edge there. That's where we're going to start. Your thread colour choice is entirely up to you. You can see that on this one I blended the thread colour. I kept it the same. On this one I'm actually going to use a contrasting colour, just for something a little bit different. Now, move our thread out of the way, hold it out the way with your thumb. Now, these little stitches are going to be quite fine and tiny. I'm going to go in just a couple of mil and out again, taking up some of that underneath fabric and coming out. Our needle comes out through the loop to create that little blanket line that will frame our little babushka's face. Keep your stitches neat and even, same depth and same width. And we're going to just pull that in, and you can see that that's going to make a lovely neat little line frame all the way around. So we're going to keep going with that one. If you're not familiar with this stitch, I do have a video that shows you right up close and personal how to do this stitch, and it's quite simple. So have a look there. So we're going to carry on. We're going to do around the face, little bow area, and down here. So now our little front pieces are all nicely appliqued on, and you can see you can use your template pieces to pop your eye spots in. I've just used a little fabric marker just to mark just a little dot there and there. Little mouth area, just very lightly because we want to stitch over that, and a little hair piece. This one is a little curl. On this one I've done just some little straight fringe lines. I'll pop them both. They're both on the templates for you. So I'm going to start with the eyes. Another alternative for the eyes here is you could do little French knots here. I'm not a big fan of French knots, and I like the fact that these little eyes make her look a little bit sparkly, so I'm going to go with that one. So again, I'm just using an upholstery thread, a black, because it's nice and clear. I'm going to start right in the centre of the eye, right in the centre of your spot. Come in from behind with a single thread. Now the stitches are quite tiny, really only about 2 mil. So I'm going to go straight up about 2 mil, straight up above the eye. and in. And each time I'm just going to come back into the centre hole. So I'm going to take the next stitch straight down to complete that stroke. So straight down about 2 mil. And then we're going to go back into the centre. Back into that centre hole where we began. And then we can work our way out. So I'm now going to do the cross. Cross 2 mil, back into the centre, and then back. Looks a little straggly when you first start. Once you've got all your little star pieces in, and then we do the across ones. Just make sure all the stitches are the same. So keep working. So all in all we do 6, fill in each space and the other eye. There's our little sparkly eyes in place. We're just going to stitch this little mouth in. Just some embroidery perle I'm using here in a pink, and we're just going to stitch straight over our little mouth line there. I'm using a stab back stitch here. Lots of people just call it a back stitch, but it's actually a fully linked back stitch. So we come in from behind, take our first stitch, little tiny stitches, travel a little way down, back from behind, and then we're going to go back into the same hole that we just came out of. That way the stitch links completely and we get a nice fluid embroidery line. So we just work that little mouth all the way, and then we use exactly the same stitch with your chosen, whatever chosen thread colour, and do the same thing on your little hair curl or your little strands of hair there. So now I have completed the little front. You can pop a couple of little blush cheek spots on your little babushka's face if you like. Now you can quite simply do that if you've got some little fabric markers. You can use a fabric marker. You can just use your own makeup, just a little bit of blush there with a little cotton tip is fine. You can use a watercolour pencil, will work, or you might want to leave it just plain like I have there. I've also added our little button, just sewn our little button on. If you don't have a novelty button like that, I have included a little heart shape template that you can just iron on and just applique around just like you have your other pieces. So now we're going to put our little keyring together. So now we get our little keyring back, which is also interfaced, and we have one of our keyring fillers. So we're going to just pop a little bit of craft glue on there. It's really just to keep it in place, so you don't need very much. Make sure that that's nicely centred. Same amount of space all the way around. Our next step is our little piece of grosgrain ribbon. I've already just glued that together at the base, and we just need to pop that one in place. We only want a tiny little bit extending so that our movement of our keyring is not too much. So we just pop that one in place. Now I add a little coin in the belly area just for some weight, and I just find that that just makes little keyring, it feels good in your hands, that little bit of weight. And if you're using it as a bag charm, it just makes that little charm sit just really nice. A little bit of weight. So then I just a little bit more glue on your coin and glue your other filler, and that will keep that coin nicely trapped in between those two layers, and so it won't move. Pop that one on, make sure that's pressed down well, and then we're just going to glue the back. Now remember that our edges here we're going to be blanket stitching, so we don't want to overdo the glue, but we do want those edges to clamp down nicely together. A little bit of glue all over, we're just going to position that one in place over the top. Make sure that all of our edges are pressed down and secure. You might have to hold that, or perhaps you might be able to clamp it with little alligator clips just for a few minutes while that dries. So now we're ready to blanket stitch around our whole outside edge of our little keyring, just as we have here. I really do recommend that you use, it just seems to work best with these little key rings if you use a lighter colour. A lighter thread colour on the outside of your little key ring really makes them, frames them well, and it makes them stand out. It's better than blending your colour. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we start. Now I've just come in at the back here with my needle, and we want to come out right between those layers here. But I'm going to show you a little trick here. I've come in, I've got a knot on in my thread. I'm using a pearl A thread here. So there's a little knot on the end. Because we're working with felt, and this is a little key ring that will flip around, we want to hide all our knots. So I've just, the hole that that's gone into, I've just made a little bit bigger with my awl, and I'm just going to slip that knot in so that we've hidden it. And because it's felt, we can just move those fibres over, and it's really, you really can't see where that's been. So that's great. That's just a neat little finishing technique. So we're going to start with the blanket stitching here. I'm going to hold my thread out, tend to hold it between my fingers there. This stitch I'm doing around about 3 to 4 mil. So we're going to start 3 mil in, 3 mil across, all the way through. And we're going to come out through the loop, all the way through. You can see that thread's coming out through the loop, and we'll pull that nice and tight. Hold that one again, I'll show you another one. You can start anywhere on your little babushka, anywhere around the body, it doesn't really matter because we're going to go all the way around. So there's our next stitch. You see that links nicely, and we'll create a little line all the way around. I do have a video that teaches you how to do a blanket stitch. It's very comprehensive. It's a very easy stitch to use, and it's, as you would know by now, one of my favourites. So I'm going to keep going all the way around our little keyring. So there we go, a little babushka keyring, all finished. I've popped a little keyring through that little grosgrain loop there, and we've hung her up next to her little sister on a bag there. You can see they look great. Remember, all your scrapbookers, this particular keyring looks really good, made up in your scrapbook papers, just as a gift tag. They make about the most perfect gift for teenage girls. I've made so many things over the years, and both my girls love this one the best. So it's a winner. Okay, if you've enjoyed making this one, have a look, because I've got a free luggage tag cupcake. This one's available also. So now that you're an expert with this one will be no problem at all. Alright, so I hope you've enjoyed that, and we'll see you next time.